Welcome to Hero Club.
I'm Nick Williams.
And I'm George Primavera.
George and I started playing Dungeons & Dragons with our buddies in college, and we haven't stopped since. Even when we lived on opposite coasts, I would Skype in George on the TV in the living room of my apartment,
while I would DM from the floor of my bathroom so as not to wake up my roommate. When I finally came out to Los Angeles, we started playing with our friends right away.
And when we'd inevitably tell other people about the ultimate betrayals and daring heroics that happened in our games, we realized that they were just hearing a jumbled mess instead of the cinematic blockbuster memories that were in our heads. We wanted to show people how fun and immersive D&D can be, especially those who had never played.
And to do that, we record a full game like normal around the table and then painstakingly cut it down from 4 hours to a clean, math-free episode, so you can experience our memories the way we do.
Just like in a real game, nothing is ever written or planned out ahead of time with the players. The only things we add are music and sound effects.
I am the Dungeon Master. I build the world and the framework for an adventure. The players, like Nick, must then journey through the obstacles I set before them, rolling a 20-sided die and adding character-specific bonuses to see if they succeed. If they beat the number I have in my head, then their action is successful. If not, it is a failure, and there may be consequences. We try to follow the rules of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition as close as we can, but as the Dungeon Master, what I say goes, and there are some things I like to do differently.
Each season is its own contained story, so find one that sounds interesting to you and start from the top. And hey,
welcome to the club.
Hero Club presents Chains of Atlantis, Act 2, Ashes in the Wind.
1 week later. It is a warm summer night at Bravegate Manor. As the sun sets below the horizon, a few gardeners bustle amongst the immaculately kept hedges. From far down the drive, a horse-drawn carriage begins to approach. As it enters the roundabout just outside of Bravegate Manor's front entrance, it slows to a stop, the doors open, and out steps the heavy boot of Vanya Baranov.
Vanya Baranov wears his normal tattered overcoat over a simple, nice town suit, and atop his bald head sits a bowler cap. He walks slowly and solemnly to the door, wraps his knuckles hard, takes the bowler cap off, and clutches it to his chest.
The door slowly swings open after a beat, and Nickleback is there to greet you.
Ah, Mr. Baranov. Glad you could make it. Sir Daringcroft is waiting for you in the Arcadia room.
Thank you, Nickleback. So, how is he?
Nickleback looks left and then looks right.
He's, seen better days, Mr. Baranov. Do be gentle with him. Perhaps none of your famous can gags this time around.
No, Nickleback. The time for jokes is over. It is a time for war. And I am all out of green beans.
Nickleback wordlessly steps aside, a little taken aback, and gestures for Vanya to walk inside. As the two journey through the hallways, adorned with many old portraits, podiums bearing strange relics, and art ranging from the classic to the absurd, Vanya and Nickleback round the corner into the Arcadia room. The walls are lined with hunting and shooting trophies, busts of world leaders from times past, and most notably, an enormous stuffed wolf head resting over the white marble fireplace, which casts a silhouette on the person sitting in the middle of it all, Theobald.
Clad in the same linen pajamas and scarlet smoking jacket that Vanya last saw him in, Theobald sits in a leather armchair staring into the fireplace, his monocle laying forgotten on his chest.
Mr. Baranov for you, sir.
Huh? What?
Mr. Baranov is here.
Yes, send him in.
Good luck.
Nickleback turns and leaves the room, leaving only Vanya with his enormous shadow cast on the wall behind him.
What can I do for you, Vanya, old boy? Theobald smiles at Vanya, expending a little more effort than usual in the process.
Vanya takes his turn to stare into the fire for a moment.
I too have stared into the heart of that harlot many times. She is a seductress, Fire, and she will teach you many things if you stare long enough.
I'm just taking a short rest. I've got my books to get back to.
Next to Theobald, a tower of old texts.
Have you heard of Rakshas's old boy? Bloody fascinating stuff. Theobald looks at the tower, not quite defeated, but circling the drain.
Seeing you like this, it makes this very difficult.
Theobald, almost as an afterthought, remembers himself and puts his monocle back into place. Like what?
Like me.
That's bad, hey?
It's not bad, but it is chaotic.
Well, I suppose I cannot argue there. I haven't slept in a week.
I believe it is time to rip this bandage off. Theo, I am leaving.
What? Have you discovered anything? Some sort of lead?
I have discovered many things.
Well, please have a seat. Regale me. I'm eager to know. Theobald darts to his feet and sweeps a pile of books and papers off of the opposite armchair, making space for Vanya. Tell me, where are you bound to next? What can we hope to learn?
There's a moment where Vanya almost goes to sit, and then his fists tighten around the brim of his bowler cap, and he stays in place.
Do not make this harder than it has to be, Theo. If I stay and sit down, then we will drink and we will come up with many a horribly beautiful idea to destroy this world while trying to save it. What I have discovered, my friend, you cannot find in any book. I have discovered that we are bad influences on each other.
What? Nonsense. Nonsense. We're a team. We are respected colleagues of one another. And what's this about destroying the world? No. My sole endeavor is to save it. Vanya, we know what's coming. We just have to figure out a way to stop it.
But that is where we differ. You will stop it by any means necessary, yes?
I suppose I've made that clear.
You are at war with the very notion of war itself. And I am at war with the means by which you wish to wage it. You gave the order, Theo, but it was my booms. It was my booms.
Theobald slumps back in the armchair and adjusts his monocle, wincing as it rubs against the black eye Bones gave him that hasn't quite healed. Vanya, you know that I take full responsibility for what transpired back in Atlantis. But if you do indeed feel any sense of guilt, help me. Help me tidy up my mess. Help me right this wrong. Don't walk out on me, old chap.
It was that same logic that led to this in the first place. Help me fix this, Vanya. Help me do this, Vanya. Help me save the world, Vanya. We were supposed to pull each other back from the brink. That is what we did in the city.
Of mirrors, Vanya. Yes, it is what we did. Help me do it again.
But we didn't. And I fear, as we go further down the path, we will not pull each other back, but push each other forward, down a path of darkness. And the truth is, I love you, my friend, but you embrace magic and all it can do with all your heart. And I am an enemy to magic. You believe that this war that is coming is your fault? No. It was always coming.
But I freed that thing. Now that war is all but certain. And it's because of me. I cannot rest. Literally, I can't sleep as long as it's out there. And it's doing everything in its quite considerable power to make that vision, that horrible vision, come to pass. Even as he finishes talking, Theobald looks into Vanya's eyes and can tell that his mind is made up. He looks back at his tower of books and scrolls. Well, where are you headed, old chap?
I'm going to go be with Subby for a while. I think with Rasputin gone, I might actually have a shot at marital bliss.
Old chap, I couldn't be happier for you. Truly. You have always been a master of the sciences, and I could not think of a better chemical bond than between the two of you. Please, do me a favor. Invite me to the wedding.
Of course, my friend. That is without question. One last thing, before I leave you here to go insane in your little office. This Rakshasa, is it particularly good at deception?
Extremely.
Well, if I wanted to drive a man insane, an easy way would be to make him believe that he was the reason that something he didn't want to have happen happened. Just a thought, Theo. It could be lying.
Theobald stares into the middle distance for a second. Well, Vanya, old boy, if I could sleep, that would certainly keep me up at night.
Vanya puts on his bowler cap, slaps Theobald on the shoulder hard once, cracks his knuckles, and leaves.
As Vanya turns and leaves, Theobald, roll a Constitution saving throw with disadvantage.
14.
You feel weakness rack your bones, almost involuntarily falling heavily into your chair as you hear the big front doors close.
Sir? Oh, sir!
Nickleback puts down a tray of tea on a side table, helping Theobald to right himself in the chair.
You must see a doctor, sir.
I've told you, man, this is not something with which a doctor could be of help.
Very well, sir.
Nickleback leaves the Arcadia room as Theobald gazes into the fire alone. 3 months later, still in the Arcadia room, though this time the large windows have been opened, chairs have been set up on the patio, and the beautiful colors of fall make for a picturesque luncheon as Jade Pickitt sits alone at a table sipping tea.
Wearing a long waxed cotton coat in her signature green color, some pants, some dirty boots, her hair wild as usual, Jade sits on the patio drumming her fingers impatiently, waiting for Theo.
Jade sits alone for a moment and then hears footsteps approaching from down the long hallway, accompanied by the squeaking of some wheels. When the footsteps get just around the corner, the squeaking wheels stop, and then Theobald walks out from around the corner alone, relying heavily on a cane to get him across the room.
Miss Pickitt! Clad in a heavy knit cardigan and relying on the wolf's head cane attained from the Kruger-Scotia, Theobald makes for his chair at the patio table. How on earth are you? It's been far too long.
Indeed, it's been quite a frog and toad to get to you, have this little chat. And, you're looking a bit worse for the wear, Gov. You all right?
What, this? No, I'm fine. Quite all right, really. Haven't been sleeping quite as much as I would like, but, I'm soldiering on just fine. Buried in my research. Tell me, how was your stay with His Majesty? I'm quite sorry I could not be more expeditious in my filing of the paperwork.
It's all right, Gov. I have to admit I've stayed in worse places. Anyways, glad to be out in the fresh air.
Theobald gives a tired half grunt, half chuckle to whatever Jade said that he almost certainly missed.
Nickleback approaches with a couple of other members of the staff flanking him. They lay down silver plates, and lunch is served.
Ah, good. I was wondering when we get to this part.
Tiny little fish crudo, topped with a single pellet of caviar, are revealed.
Oh. Well, all right. Is this it? Sorry, don't mean to be rude. I just, it.
Oh, Miss Pickitt, this is simply an amuse-bouche. But I must admit, my appetite has quite escaped me. Why don't you take mine as well?
Yeah, all right. I'll amuse yours as well, if you don't mind.
The mischievous twinkle in his eye briefly returns, and Theobald leans in conspiratorially. Now, I've been in contact with a chap who I believe can help you with your, bloated inventory, as it were. I must warn you, Miss Pickitt, he's French.
He's what?
Theobald ignores that and reaches for a small crystal bell on the table and rings it.
Nickleback appears in the doorway.
You may send Francois in, Nickleback.
Yes, sir.
Nickleback disappears for a moment, and replacing him is a tall, thin, lithe man in a black suit with a small pencil mustache and slicked back hair. Francois takes long strides before grabbing another chair and placing it at your table. Hello, good to meet you.
Bonjour, Francois. This is the enterprising young woman that I told you about.
Oui, bonjour.
Guessing you'll be wanting chewy coffee, not a cuppa like us.
What is she saying?
A charming parlance amongst the English. I believe you're asking if he'd like a coffee?
Un café, oui.
Right, I knew it.
Of course. Theobald rings the bell again.
Madame, tu t'appelles comment? What is your name?
The name's Jade Pickitt.
J. Picky?
Well, not exactly, but...
Oui, J. Picky.
Sure.
J. Picky, my name is Francois. I will be very happy to sell everything you have for a very small percentage.
Oh yeah, how small we talking?
I do not take less than 15% from my clients.
15? Theo, is he all he says he is?
Do not talk to him. You can talk to me. I am right here.
I'll need a reference is all. You understand?
Francois rolls his eyes and looks at Theobald as if to say, go ahead.
I can assure you that Francois is the best in the business, and 15% is quite standard.
All right, just checking. No harm, no foul, boys. Don't get your knickers in a twist.
What does this mean? Knickers in a twist.
Don't worry about it. Are you gonna eat that? She points to his amuse-bouche.
Quoi?
The little fish cracker.
She'd like your crudo, old man.
No, you may have it.
Jade quickly scoops it up and puts it in her mouth.
Is she always so barbaric?
Oi! I do know what that means.
Francois shrugs, stands, and extends his hand. J. Picky, I look forward to working with you.
Jade takes his hand, and me as well.
Theobald clasps his hands together and smiles. Oh, I do quite love bringing people together. I must say, this is my favorite. And he sort of stares into his teacup.
Very well. Au revoir.
Yes, au revoir, old man.
I will be in touch. Francois leaves the table.
Jade reaches across and puts her hand on Theo's arm. Theo, I am sorry about what happened. I feel rotten about it. The way it all ended.
What, Atlantis? Miss Pickitt, there is no part of that for which you have to apologize.
Well, I know, all the same. I just feel bad. It was just all so ugly.
Yes, nasty business that, and I'm doing everything I can to undo it.
I just know you're the sensitive type, so...
Oh, pish posh, I'll be fine.
You let us know if you need anything. Drop us a line.
Of course, and Miss Pickitt, congratulations on your imminent fortune.
Yeah, thanks. It's gonna be strange not to have Finch anything for a while.
Yes, I can imagine. Do try to keep out of trouble.
Sure, Gov.
And don't be a stranger. There's always a room for you here at the manor.
Or maybe I'll move next door now that my situation's changed.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
And as Theobald and Jade shake hands, we pan up to see the trees rustling in the wind, and suddenly the leaves are gone, replaced instead with heavy pillows of white snow. A year passes. It is now December of 1911. Theobald still sits in the Arcadia room, surrounded by many more towers of old books and tomes. Theobald, buried in your work, a neglectful scraggle adorning your cheeks. Roll a history check.
Botch.
For a year, you have desperately been searching for information on this Raksasa's identity, and have come up with nothing.
As the letters on the pages in front of him blend together, Theobald blinks, letting his monocle fall to his chest, then turns to one of the towers of books next to him and shoves it over onto the ground. He drops the book in his hands into his lap, letting it slide onto the floor, and buries his head in his hands.
It's only a few seconds before the door busts open.
Sir, are you all right? What's happened?
Nickleback has less hair than he did before, and moves just a bit more slowly.
Nothing, Nickleback. Nothing's happened.
I meant to tell you, sir, I received word from the Atlantean League yesterday. I know you didn't want to be disturbed, but it appears there is an issue of some import and they are sending a representative, a Sir Cromwell.
An issue?
Yes, something regarding the publication of the discovery has come into question, it seems.
I suppose I had better tidy up. And Theobald struggles to his feet.
Yes, sir.
With his cane, Theobald slowly and methodically makes his way out of the Arcadia room, heading up for his chambers.
After an hour, Theobald returns, helped down the stairs by a few attendants, and then into a chair pushed by Nickleback.
How are you feeling, sir? Still no sleep?
Not a wink, old chap.
I confess I have been doing my own research to see what your ailment may have originated from. An alternate explanation, perhaps, but I am having a hard time finding a doctor to visit after word has gone round that you claim a demon did this to you, sir. I only wish the next time we bring someone in that perhaps you listen to everything they have to say before dismissing them, is all.
And all I wish, Nickleback, is that these learned men that I pay so much money to could keep a bit more of an open mind. Not everything is in the textbook or on the map. Not everything comes with instructions that everyone can follow. There are things that cannot be explained, and I...
Sir!
Theobald waves him off. Yeah, forgive me.
Theobald, make a Constitution saving throw with disadvantage.
9.
Theobald, your moment of passion has proven too much. You take 1 point of damage, bringing you down to 5 points of health. A total you have not surpassed since returning from the Atlantean chamber.
Calm yourself, sir. You need enrichment. I know just the thing, but it can wait.
As you wheel through the main foyer, on your way to a dining room, there is suddenly a loud knock at the door.
Pardon me, sir.
Nickleback walks to the door, opens it.
Sir Cromwell, what are you doing here? You aren't scheduled to arrive for another 20 minutes.
Yes, I thought I would come and make this brief. My schedule is very full today. Ah, Sir Daringcroft, is that you I see?
Yes, Sir Cromwell, pleasure to make your acquaintance.
I hope you don't mind my early arrival. I have pressing matters to attend to later this evening, and I had to shuffle some things in my schedule.
Not at all, not at all. This actually works out quite better for me as well.
Yes, well, I do come with poor news, unfortunately.
Theobald was in the middle of struggling to his feet and extending a hand.
And Theobald is greeted with a piece of paper handed to him instead.
An unfortunate thing, really. It would seem some of the king's advisors have bent his ear in a certain direction I do not think you will agree with. It has been decreed that the finding of Atlantis will not be publicized and instead will remain confidential information.
As he scans the letter and listens to Cromwell's words, Theobald's eyes go wide with fury.
Given how tensions have risen on the global scale, it has been deemed a danger to inform other nations, other forces of the existence of these chambers of Atlantis that you have discovered. As such, your reputation, I'm afraid, must remain as it has for the past several years. You are a disgraced, shunned explorer. Of course, we at the Atlantean League will know the truth, said Daringcroft. You are an exemplary member of our organization and this nation. But we must be the only ones who know. For the good of the king and the good of the country. I am sure you understand. We wouldn't want old Otto von Bismarck getting his hands on some sort of new technology, would we?
Theobald does his best to hide his deep, deep disappointment. Well, if it's for king and country,
Thank you for your grace and your understanding, Sir Daringcroft.
Yes, of course.
Sir Cromwell turns tail, returning his top hat to his immaculately combed white hair, and the door opens once again.
I hope you don't mind. I will have to report to the press that my meeting with you has rendered a rather bleak diagnosis of your mental state. I'm thinking of using the term crackpot, but I just want you to know it is not how I genuinely feel, Sir Daringcroft.
Well, Sir Cromwell, is that part really necessary? I don't think...
And the door slams shut.
But they can't do that. You have worked so hard to bring this to light, and it was agreed. They would clear your name in the press from everything they had said, and...
Theobald brings up a hand. You heard the man, Nickleback. It's been deemed too dangerous. Theobald stares at the dark wood of the shut front door. I'll return to the Arcadia room now, please.
Of course, sir. I'm so...
We leave Bravegate Manor, and as we fly over the treetops, returning to the bustling city of London, another season passes. It is now the spring of 1912. As Francois the French Fence knocks on the front door of a dingy flat.
Hello? Chez Pickitt, are you here? Hello?
Yeah, I'm coming.
Hurry up! I only have so much time this afternoon.
Jade creaks open the door, looks and sees Francois, and opens up.
Francois' arms open.
Chez Pickitt.
Oh, I don't think we know each other like that.
Come on, we have made a lot of money together.
Yeah, I guess you have a little more respect for me now, don't you?
Indeed I do. It is funny because your demeanor is one of such low class and counterintuitive manners that you would not think you would be able to achieve such success. But I have never been happier to be proven wrong.
Jade whips around and throws a tiny dagger at the wall, landing an inch from Francois' head. Careful now.
Relax, Pickitt. I have good news for you.
What's the news?
Well, we have sold everything that you have. And I have the last payment here for you.
Thanks, I'll drop this off with the kids. Guessing you stopped by my big place, didn't you?
I did. I have meant to ask, why are you living in this crappy apartment? You have such a beautiful estate.
Oh, I like that the kids are having a good time there, and honestly, I just, I don't know. Something doesn't feel right about so much space.
So much space. I was going to say the whole place is completely filled with kids and teachers. Where would one sleep?
Yeah, I sort of liberated me old haunts, didn't I?
I imagine the surrounding neighbors are not thrilled with there being an orphanage in such close proximity.
Well, Theo doesn't mind for one. Anyway, there's plenty of land. It's not like you hear of them.
Let us get down to business, Pickitt. I think you are holding out on me.
Eh?
I have a buyer who knew you by name and asked to meet with you to, and I quote, discreetly overpay for an artifact in your possession. Apparently, you are in possession of an ornate dagger of Egyptian origin. Is that true?
Who's interested in my dagger?
He has asked me to keep his identity a secret.
With all the business we do together, can't give me a hint?
Well, I can give you a hint. He is, clearly from out of town.
I hope that's not the hint.
I think he is American.
Oh yeah, big fella?
Yes. Large, with a mustache.
Say no more. He wants my dagger? That low down... Tell him, your American friend, that I'm not selling, and if he wants it, he can come talk to me himself.
Francois takes ink and quill out of his pocket and quickly jots down a number.
That is what he is willing to pay. For a start.
Oh.
Do you want to just take a meeting?
I'll bet you want me to take a meeting, you 15%.
Of course I want you to take a meeting. Look how much that would be. Come on. You have to go. Do you not like me? Do you not want me to be happy?
I don't like you, no, and I don't want you to be happy, but...
I come in here, I kiss your cheeks like we are friends, and you do not take this? Come on! Do you know how many kids touch this jacket? Do you know what is on this jacket? I do not know what this stain is. It is not was there before I came to your stupid mansion.
Stop speaking. No, you frogs, the noise you make, it's just incessant. Alright, here's what we'll do. I'll take a meeting, and,
Good, you are having dinner tonight.
What?
I have already set up the reservation at the restaurant.
What restaurant?
We cut to that evening at the Cooked Goose, London's premier restaurant with impossible to get reservations and rare exported entrees. We find Jade waiting at the bar with a drink in her hand. Jade has a glass of gin that she's nursing. She's changed to a black short jacket. She's wearing a skirt so as not to attract too much attention, and she's tried her best to tame the wisps of her hair. Jade knocks back the glass of gin. I'll have another. Jade reaches over as the bartender's back is turned, filling her glass with gin, and grabs a handful of olives. Jade, roll a perception check. 4. You sit at the bar for a long time, to the point where you begin to zone out, staring into the middle distance. 7:30, the time of your appointment, comes and goes. It is 8:15. You are just about to get up and leave the restaurant, when suddenly, sitting down next to you at the bar, with a frantic movement, is Francois. Oh, where have you been?
Jade, we have to get out of here.
Eh?
We have to leave. I made a terrible mistake.
What's happened? What did you do?
The man who came before, it was different. He changed in front of my eyes. There is something going on, and he knows where we are. We must get out of here. This is not worth 15%. I am beginning to think the offer was a lie, a lure in the first place.
You look at Francois and notice that he is bleeding heavily from the cheek, and his clothing appears torn and shredded on one side. He is already drawing odd looks from other patrons of the restaurant.
Right, just quiet down. Let's slowly walk out of here. Stay close to me.
Of course.
Jade gets a dagger ready. She puts a few coins on the bar, and they leave.
Jade and Francois hastily exit the Cooked Goose. The streets are beginning to empty.
Do you have a place? I have a safe house nearby.
I don't know nothing about your safe house.
Then let's go to yours.
Jade waves down a carriage.
It slows in front of you, and both of you climb inside.
Take us to 147 Dumas Street.
Yes, ma'am. All right, on you go.
So, here is what happened. I went to go and inform him where the meeting would be taking place, where the reservations were made. It was like a completely different being waited for me. It attacked me, and the only reason I was able to get away, I threw dirt in its face and ran out the door, but not before. Ah!
And Francois goes to his cheek, clutching his bloody wound.
Easy now. Jade takes a flask out of her pocket, opens it, and gently pours a few drops of gin onto Francois' cut.
Ah! Was it stings?
Yeah, it's alright.
Do you have the dagger?
It's safe.
Right.
You said he changed.
Yes, he grew taller and a great deal of long hair. A beast.
Francois, riddle me this. What did I eat off your plate at Theo's when we first met?
Jade, make an insight check.
18.
Francois looks at you very confused.
What? What are you talking about?
The little snack. Remember? Or was it a big snack?
You want me to remember something that you ate of mine? How long ago? Do you know what I have just been through?
I want you to think real hard, because I'm sort of standing between you and a lot of money or a lot of danger.
I do not know the answer, Jade. I cannot tell you.
Why don't you take your little 15% bottom, stop talking, and think?
Was it some sort of croissant?
Right. Cabby, stop the car!
The cabbie does not stop.
Oh, Jade. Oh, I think it's time to go. Jade opens the door and attempts to roll out of the carriage.
Roll either an athletics or acrobatics check at disadvantage.
13.
Francois lunges his hand out and grabs your arm and says in a low, layered voice,
You stay right here. Sit down.
You turn to look at Francois. Francois's eyes are bright yellow, and his arm appears too large for his slender frame.
What do you want?
I want the weapon you possess. The one that sits on your thigh.
Jade, make a wisdom saving throw.
12.
As you stare into Francois's yellow eyes, he utters again,
Sit down and close the door.
Jade, struggling to keep the door open, watches her hand close the door and feels herself sit down. Ha! That's some bit of black magic you've got there.
Francois settles back down into his chair, the wound disappearing from his face. An illusion, and then slowly morphing in front of you, growing larger, sprouting long black and white hair, and the face of a great feline, towering at 8 feet tall in the short-ceilinged carriage, is the Rakshasa. It extends a backwards hand, palm facing up.
Now give me the dagger. You do not know what you possess, what you wield so recklessly. Horus's knife.
Jade's muscles tense as she tries to get up. Why can't I leave?
A gift from my father. A tongue of influence. Hand me the weapon, and you can avoid the fate that your friend met.
The Rakshasa gestures to itself, flashing Francois's face across its own face.
Guess you're gonna kill me either way, huh?
Roll an insight check.
15.
Hand me the weapon, and you may walk free.
You are unsure of the Rakshasa's intentions.
Well, suppose there's no harm in trying. And she grabs the knife quickly from her leg strap and attempts to stab the Rakshasa.
Roll an attack.
Botch.
The Rakshasa grabs your hand before the knife has a chance to pierce its flesh. The Rakshasa slams you up against the back wall of the carriage.
Just as I remember, foolish in the face of certain death, there is something to admire there. But I have something to do. Look into my eyes.
Jade, make a wisdom saving throw.
20.
Jade, enraged, shirks this charm effect and resists the domination spell that attempts to dictate her thoughts. And you find yourself freed of your compulsion to stay seated in the carriage.
Jade closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and tries to kick away from him through the carriage window.
Roll an acrobatics check.
18.
Jade kicks through the window of the carriage, landing heavily outside on the cobblestone as the glass windows shatter.
She quickly gets to her feet and starts to run.
Roll a perception check.
21.
You turn for just a moment and see the Rakshasa leap out of the carriage after you, and see the carriage continue forward.
Jade quickly looks around and sees the closest building with an iron divot coming out of the brick. She runs and jumps up, scaling the building.
And rising up through the air, cloak fluttering in the breeze, the Rakshasa effortlessly steps onto the rooftop in flight and will make 2 attacks on Jade just as she crests the rooftop. Claws suddenly pop out of this bipedal tiger's paws. It stalks forward and slashes at you twice. Blood sprays across the roof. You take 28 slashing damage, bringing you down to 23 points of health.
If you will not give it to me, then I will take it!
Jade runs backwards to the edge of the building, She puts one hand on the ground and swings underneath into the open window on the top floor.
As you disengage from the Rakshasa, it attempts to trace your movements. Roll a stealth check.
31.
Jade goes completely silent as she settles behind a maze of pipes in the open third floor of an abandoned warehouse. The Rakshasa silently floats through the open window, and as it comes to a stop, speaks to the room.
Before I killed your friend, would you like to know what he told me? He told me there is turmoil in your family. Such a shame. A fight within the family can be devastating for all involved. I would know this better than most. I offer you this. Come out. Present me your weapon, and I will allow your brother to continue breathing. If not, well, and of course, being a police officer, it will be especially delicious to make a display of him. The chaos that will ensue.
He waits for a response.
Jade remains silent.
There is a sound, like the whooshing of wind.
There you are. I see you.
The Rakshasa is suddenly staring directly at the pipe system Jade is hiding behind, eyes aglow.
In one quick motion, Jade points the tip of the dagger to face the Rakshasa. With a swift push, she sends it flying at the Rakshasa's face and attempts to leave the building through the chimney.
Roll an attack.
18.
The dagger flies forward with expert precision, and the Rakshasa is unable to stop it from penetrating his eye. Roll damage.
8 damage.
Jade disappears up and out of the chimney. The Rakshasa's yells of pain are soon lost as you sneak away into the night.
Hey, you beautiful listeners, it's your old pal Nick here to talk about the Hero Club Patreon. If you're loving what we put out there, think about skipping a coffee once a month and supporting the podcast instead. As Patreon members, you'll get access to our Discord, where you can interact with us on the daily about D&D and anything else you want. You get the episodes a day earlier than all of your non-patron friends, and you'll get to listen to our weekly Patreon-exclusive show, Members Only, where George, Dylan, Marty, and I interview other cast members and each other about specific seasons, characters, and kinda just whatever. So what do you say? You ready to join the club? Head to patreon.com/HeroClub to sign up today.
Back at Bravegate Manor, the same night. Theobald, you feel a heavy hand on your chest, and a low voice says,
Awaken.
You open your eyes, having fallen asleep in the Arcadia room, with the fire now just low, burning coals. You wake in a seated position, with the Rakshasa standing over you, a black dagger to your throat. His face is obscured by shadow.
You? Where did you get that?
Your friend gave it to me.
What have you done? What did you do to her?
I have been very busy, Theobald Daringcroft. Busy fulfilling my promise to you. I've done everything in my power to ensure the inevitable. And the truth is, it was pitifully easy. My seeds are planted, and it's all thanks to you.
Why are you doing this?
Why? Would you do me this kindness, Theobald Daringcroft? Would you bear witness to my myth?
I will do everything in my power to make sure that your myth does not come to pass.
You? A mortal? A mudman? From dust and sludge the Agarthans shaped thee. You are simple conduits for the most precious of resources. You are an aqueduct of faith, of belief, a structure, a construct. You would undo my machinations?
More likely, die trying, but I would endeavor to do so with every fiber of my being.
Then you must know my name, Theobald Daringcroft. For in every myth, there is a hero. Or so you mortals frame them. An antagonist. This is your part to play. I am called many names. My father called me Vinash. The Olympians called me Thunder Thief. But I prefer the name my mother gave me. You, Theobald Daringcroft, may call me Haman.
Theobald, roll a history check.
25.
Theobald, for years, you have been combing through mountains of text. Upon hearing these names, dots connect in a flash as you immediately begin remembering your research. Research on the Olympians, ancient Grecians, and Atlantis. Research on Rakshasas, demons found in Indic lore, as well as the ancient Indian epic, the Ramayana, depicting the god-hero, Ravana. There are theories that the betrayer son of Ravana, Vibhishana, came to regret turning on his father. He grew to resent all the gods that manipulated him as he watched his family struck down by Rama. He believed his dharma, his fate, to have been falsified by Rama with the help of the other godlike beings, the Olympians, who always kept one eye firmly on fate. Vibhishana was exiled from his homeland. He had many children with mortal women and began to raise an army of Rakshasa, most of whom, with no direction other than rage, were struck down by the gods. But there was one who had been born of a Grecian woman. It is said this Rakshasa was named Vinash, and in the texts it is said that he was struck down by none other than Zeus himself. But then you remember a Grecian text depicting a woman having a love affair with a demon from a faraway land, who then gave birth to a conniving little boy named Haman. Contrary to the Indian text, Haman, or Vinash, was not struck down by Zeus, and was in fact one of the few beings able to trick the god of the sky. The woman passed her son off as one of the sons of King Lycaon, a king of Arcadia. It was Haman's idea to convince the king to feed a visiting Zeus the entrails of a child to test his omniscience. Secretly, Haman informed Zeus ahead of time to earn his trust. Zeus turned the king into a wolf and punished the others, and thanked Haman by granting him the powers of shapeshifting. It is using these powers that he stole Zeus's thunderbolt and began to wreak havoc in the land. The Olympians did not take this lightly, and strong-armed Haman's father, Vibhishana, into betraying his son yet again with a cruel deception. He was locked away, and Zeus's thunderbolt is said to be kept safe by the Cyclops of Poseidon, deep in the chambers of Atlantis.
Vinash, Haman, you're all of them.
And now we come to your part.
Yes. What is my part? What does a being such as you want with me?
You freed me. We are now intertwined. It is the nature of fate. The regret you have, your desperation to stop me, it is also utterly predictable. So I have rendered you useless. Look at you, surrounded by your own filth. You will bear witness to the end of everything, as a hero must, but you will lack the ability to do anything about it, and that cements my plan. I have deemed you the hero, and I have taken your heels.
Theobald, for the first time in years, can't help but crack a smile.
Well, something you don't know about me, old boy, is that a complete lack of ability has never stopped me from trying.
And so comes the reason for my visit tonight.
Theobald's face falls as he remembers, and his eyes flit to Jade's dagger.
Your friend, Jade Pickitt, is on her way here now, no doubt to warn you about me.
Theobald tries to hide his relief, hearing that Jade is alive.
Yes, she is alive. But when she comes in search of help, you will deny her, Theobald Daringcroft. You will send her away. You will bid her never visit you ever again, and you will never leave your manor's grounds. For if you do, I will know. I know your thoughts, Theobald Daringcroft. I know your mind. You let me in. All those many months ago in the middle of the ocean.
And why should I deny Miss Pickitt? What is it you plan to do?
I will take everything and everyone you love from you, including her. But not before I kill her brother in front of her. Not before I burn down her orphanage. And not before...
And the Rakshasa's face changes into Nickleback's.
I take everything and everyone from you as well, sir.
The Rakshasa stands straight and sheathes Jade's dagger.
Do we understand each other, my silent witness?
Theobald locks eyes with the Rakshasa.
Inescapably.
The Rakshasa walks to the window, opening it and letting in a stiff, cold breeze from outside.
Here she comes. I'll be listening.
And suddenly, the Rakshasa is no longer at the window. Make a perception check.
15.
You are unable to locate where the Rakshasa might have gone, and only know that they are not here. There is suddenly a tentative knock at the Arcadia room's closed doors.
Sir! Miss Pickitt is here. I'm so sorry the hour is so late, but she seems quite frantic and...
The door explodes open, and Jade busts into the room.
Go. I am... And Jade falls silent, looking around her. Are we alone?
Theobald, make a wisdom saving throw, with disadvantage.
Botch.
You feel the Rakshasa firmly planted in your mind, detecting every thought.
God, I need your help. He's back. He's here. He took my knife.
Miss Pickitt, I cannot help you.
But... why not?
I'm very sorry, but I need you to leave Bravegate Manor right now and never return.
Gov, I need your help.
Theobald does his best to clear his mind, but widens his eyes at Jade, unnaturally so, hoping she will detect some sort of hidden meaning.
You need to leave right this minute.
Jade, make an insight check.
12.
You see only a wide-eyed, afeared, weakened man as Theobald's finger points to the exit.
Jade looks down in anguish and confusion. She then goes over to Theobald's desk in the corner of the room and writes something down on a piece of paper. She folds it up and starts to leave. Right. Well, take care of yourself. She walks out and hands the letter to Nickleback. Give this to the Gov, would ya? Not today, some other time, in a quiet moment.
Of course, Miss Pickitt. May I walk you to the exit?
Yes, right, sure.
Nickleback and Jade leave the room. The door closes, and the Rakshasa drops its invisibility, standing as Sir Cromwell at the fireplace.
Very good, old sport. And by the way, so sorry about that poor spot of news about Atlantis.
Take good care of yourself. I need you alive for a while longer.
And in a flash, the Rakshasa is gone, leaving Theobald in a darkened, cold room.
Theobald, as fast as his weakened state will allow, makes his way over to his writing desk and writes down everything he can remember from his encounter with the Rakshasa and a note to Jade explaining everything.
Meanwhile, outside, as Jade and Nickleback approach the front door, Nickleback suddenly turns, stops, and grabs Jade by both shoulders.
All right, there isn't time. Something is going on. Somebody else was in that room just now.
Nickleback takes out an Atlantean earpiece.
I have been listening in. Sir Daringcroft has been muttering in his sleep, and just now I heard two voices very distinctly, and a great deal has just been revealed. But something has been confirmed, Miss Pickitt. Would you be willing to help me with something?
I knew it. It was him. He was there. I knew it.
I need you to see a good friend of mine in Parliament. Here, his name is Archibald Pennyweather. Go see him and make sure you give him the letter I have enclosed here.
Right, Pennyweather. All right. His address is on it.
It must be tonight, Miss Pickitt. Yes, follow the address.
Right, I'm going straight away.
And Jade starts running for the gate.
Bastard coming to my sir's manor. Have this.
Early the next morning, waiting outside Archibald Pennyweather's pristine mansion, Jade Pickitt paces back and forth on the front porch.
Come on.
A hunched old maid opens the door for a second time.
Mr. Pennyweather will see you. He is in his study. Follow me.
It's about time. Mrs., if you've got anything to eat, would you bring it in? God, I'm starving.
Of course, love.
A plate of cookies immediately appears next to her. The study doors are reached.
A Miss Jade Pickitt for you, sir.
Yes, very good. Send her in.
Hello. I'm coming from, my good friend Theobald Daringcroft. And, well, it's actually from his butler, really. Anyway, I've got this letter. There's a whole lot going on.
Sitting behind a mahogany desk is an old man with a crazy shock of asymmetrical hair, graying and twisted, no neck to speak of, and tiny little spectacles resting on a mousy nose. His rotund body, crammed into his chair, twists to face you as a stack of papers are dumped into a wastepaper basket.
Pardon? You said his butler sent you.
That's right. Do you know him?
What was the message?
Well, Jade suddenly gets skeptical.
Sorry, this might be a bit strange, but could you tell me something interesting about Theo?
Theobald Daringcroft is perhaps the most irritating person I have ever had the displeasure of having a conversation with. He is a pompous ass.
Okay, that works for me. Just, here's the letter. I don't have time for games. I just need help.
And she presents him with Nickleback's letter.
I'd recognize this handwriting anywhere. Really?
As he finishes reading the letter, he crumples it up, throws it in a fireplace rather than the wastepaper basket, and turns solemnly back to Jade.
Tell Nickleback I will contact my brother in New York.
Right.
And make sure it is clear this makes us even. Expect a delivery by next week.
Right. Delivery, it's got to come through me. See, I don't think we're allowed to go in and out of Bravegate at the moment.
Don't worry about any of that. It will be taken care of.
Oh, right. Everybody's very sneaky and shifty round here.
Before Jade is able to turn and leave, the man stops her.
Miss Pickitt, if I could give you some unsolicited advice. Put all this magic nonsense behind you. There's naught but misery at the end of that path.
Never had a very big family, sir. But the ones I do have, I don't let go of too easy.
And she leaves.
2 more weeks go by. Jade lies awake, hidden in her brother's attic. Unaware of her residence, he and his family bustle around for the 14th time, making breakfast, laughing, and enjoying a life that Jade has never known. And Jade lies awake, for to close her eyes is to see the face of everyone she loves in tortured pain. Jade has not benefited from any long rest or short rest taken since her encounter with the Rakshasa. Jade, in your exhaustion, you suddenly hear a pecking at the window next to you. Sitting at the window, holding a scroll in its mouth, is an osprey.
Okay.
Roll a nature check.
17.
You've seen these ospreys by the beach in the northern territories of England, but they are very uncommon in the heart of London.
She opens the window slowly.
And it drops the scroll into your hand and flutters away.
She opens the scroll.
It reads,
Miss Pickitt, please make your way to Bravegate Manor with great haste. Do take care to wear this.
A pendant is enclosed, wrapped around a blue sapphire.
Yeah, I think I took this from their house one time. Jade puts on the necklace, creeps out of the open window, and makes her way to Bravegate.
Later that day, at Bravegate Manor, Jade arrives by carriage. The door opens and out steps
what looks like an old crone, dressed in many black rags as if in mourning. This stooped old lady hobbles in, using a cane.
Nickleback opens the door.
Miss Pickitt, good to... Oh, my goodness, I'm so sorry. Madam, I believe you have the wrong manner. May I point you to...
Oi, it's me. Just trying to be undercover.
Miss Pickitt, there is no need for that. I've been assured the manor is now perfectly safe, and I wanted you to be here for this. Come.
Spent rather a long time on that, but, no matter. And she doffs the shawl.
Nickleback briskly walks to the Arcadia room with Jade in tow, throws the doors open.
Sir, Miss Pickitt is here.
What? Nickleback, what have you done?
Hush now, sir. There is much to explain.
And Jade, why did you come? I sent you that letter explaining
Hush
everything.
now, sir.
Theobald looks between his butler and Jade, and then back to Nickleback.
What did you do?
I have been slightly dishonest with you, sir.
Nickleback goes to your bedside table, reaches into the top drawer, and pulls out an Atlantean earpiece that has been left on.
When you stopped discussing your illness with me, sir, I began to take things into my own hands. And you do say a great deal in your restless sleep, so I have been doing some of my own research. And a couple of weeks ago, I heard your encounter in this room. I have called in my last favor with a tense acquaintance.
Theobald's face falls.
What? Archibald Pennyweather? Nickleback. That man is a boorish, insufferable...
Yes, well, I did save his brother from choking, so... He was able to put me in touch with his youngest brother, Harold, and he has sent me something that I think will put everything right.
Well, what is it?
Yes, don't keep us waiting, man. What is it?
Nickleback pulls from under his jacket pocket a small paper bag. He tears it open, and delicately wrapped in cloth, there is a pristine silver claw.
Now, I need both of you to come here.
Jade approaches.
Theobald does as well.
If you would each put one finger on this claw.
Nickleback unfolds a piece of paper.
Maledictum toli in totem. Maledictum toli in totem. Maledictum toli in totem. Oh my goodness!
The claw suddenly flashes bright white. Both Jade and Theobald are flung to opposite sides of the room.
Ah!
Oh God! I've killed them! I've killed them!
Easy, Nickleback.
Archibald, you bastard!
Nickleback!
It's
Quiet
fine.
down, man.
Oh, thank God!
The bags have disappeared from underneath Jade's eyes, and Theobald, for the first time in a long, long time, you feel a small fire light in your gut.
Actually, I'm very all right.
Theobald leans his cane up against his writing desk, no longer needing it.
Oh. I'd say I'm fit as a fiddle.
Jade squeezes Nickleback in a big hug from behind. Oh, thank you. I haven't slept in weeks. Oh, I feel so good.
Of course.
Once she's done hugging Nickleback, Theobald pulls Jade in for a hug, and as they separate,
Tell me, Miss Pickitt, are you hungry?
Gov, don't ask stupid questions.
Sir, to mark the occasion, I have a gift for you.
Nickleback points to the window, and sitting on the windowsill is the osprey from before.
What's this?
Oh yeah, that bloke came to see me as well.
Theobald goes to open the window and wraps his smoking jacket around his hand before extending it.
The osprey curiously pecks at the hand and then hops aboard.
I think, Miss Pickitt, that this is a female. This necklace here of brown spots across the breast is more pronounced, as you can see.
Theobald stares at the bird. It's love at first sight.
Now, what are we going to call you, my dear?
It's a quiet summer night in Montana. The year is 1914, the very beginning of July. Amidst completely dormant oil towers on an expansive property on which there seems to be almost too much sky, sits an enormous pine lodge unfinished on one side, as if the construction workers simply got up and left. There are no lights save for the stars overhead, until one sparks up on the front porch. Sat in a chair, staring out at his financial ruin, is Bones Mahoney.
Bones' face is illuminated in the darkness by a matchbook from the 10 Sleep feed rack in 10 Sleep, Wyoming, fully alight in his hands, that he holds below the corner of a final notice from the Gallatin Bank and Trust. Goddamn buzzards coming from my land. They can take it from my cold, dead hands. And Bones lets the note go up in flames. Bones' neat mustache and 5 o'clock shadow has grown into a completely unruly beard. His coiffed dime store haircut has grown out to his shoulders, and his calfskin flight jacket has been replaced with a threadbare gray cardigan. He drops the flaming letter into a wastebasket on the porch to burn, uncorks a bottle of Canadian whiskey with his teeth, and pours it into a glass, before raising a toast off the porch to a large barn, where sticking out like a set of awkward antlers are the wings of his biplane, Lucille, where he crashed it 4 months ago. Cheers to you, old girl. He feeds the fire with the liquid from the glass and drinks from the bottle. He takes one last look at the rusting oil derricks in the distance and turns to walk back into the lodge.
Oh there, neighbor.
Without skipping a beat, Bones grabs a sawed-off shotgun from the doorway of his lodge, wheels, and fires.
Roll an attack with advantage.
19.
Hit. Bones, quickly firing from the hip, puts a hole in the chest of his neighbor, Ollie Bunkus.
Oh my God, you shot me.
Ollie goes down into the dirt with a thud.
Oh, shit, Ollie! Why'd you sneak up on me? It's past sundown.
Ollie stays still in the dirt for a moment, and then sits upright.
Bones unloads the second barrel of the shotgun.
Roll an attack.
23.
Ollie does not move, lying in the dirt.
Ollie, you can't just sneak up on a man in Montana on his 300-acre property in the middle of the goddamn evening and then sit upright after being shot. What were you thinking, man?
Ollie slowly sits up again.
I hope you've only got 2 in the chamber. Otherwise, we're gonna be here all night.
I knew it! I knew it was some magic malarkey! Bones desperately dives a meat hook into the pockets of his cardigan looking for shells.
Now, let's just all
relax.
Bones, make a wisdom saving throw.
19.
The layered voice has no effect on Bones, who is in a full-blown panic, reloading the shotgun.
Bones yells out at the man, go away, we aren't accepting visitors tonight! And runs back into his house, slamming the door behind him. Now where the hell did I put that dynamite? Bones latches the door behind him, runs into a completely cluttered and disgusting mudroom, into the only room of his house that's finished and furnished, the enormous living room. where he's been sleeping on a much too big for one person leather couch in front of a massive riverstone fireplace, where he's clearly also been cooking all of his meals. He begins throwing dishes and miscellanea aside, looking for his box of dynamite. Come on, Bones! Come on!
Roll an investigation check.
13.
Bones is unable to find the dynamite that he has forgotten his stashing place for.
Shit. He ducks behind the leather couch and readies his shotgun at the door.
And the door is open.
Oh. You in here, Ollie? Don't go scaring me now!
As Bones frantically pans across the room with the shotgun, he hears a whisper in his left ear.
Boo!
A twisted black dagger suddenly protrudes from Bones' chest.
Oh!
Bones, you take 6 piercing damage and 17 necrotic damage, bringing you down to 55 points of health. Ollie becomes visible, pulling the dagger out of your back and instantaneously growing several feet, white and black hair pouring over the clothing that this creature has stuffed itself into. There are many bloody stains on its fur. Bones, roll an insight check.
14.
The black and white color and pattern of the creature's fur are extremely familiar, and as you look up, you see 2 eyes, one glowing bright yellow and the other scarred and gray.
You're not Ollie at all, are you?
Well, what gave it away?
You're the guy. The chain guy from Atlantis.
Here I was thinking that speaking to you in a sort of familiar context would make this easier, but...
We're all wrong sometimes.
Bones, you look down at the gunshot wounds in this creature's chest and find that there has been absolutely no mark. There are only bullet holes in the fabric.
Bones Mahoney, I am Haman, and I have questions for you.
Well, I got your answers right here! Bones knocks the dagger off target and throws 2 fists. 18.
Hit.
25.
Hit.
14 damage.
The Rakshasa smiles for a moment as it sees Bones getting ready to hit him.
Your attacks can do nothing to...
The demon standing before you reels in shock.
I never was much of a gun guy. Bones follows up with a left hook and a strong right cross. 16, 19.
2 hits.
21 damage.
What?
And Bones goes for a big uppercut, attempting to knock him on the floor. 26.
Another hit, roll damage.
8 damage. And the Rakshasa is knocked prone. The second the Rakshasa hits the floor, Bones sprints out the front door towards the barn.
And it makes a desperate swiping attack to try to trip you up. But it misses wildly, and Bones is out the door in a flash. Suddenly, you hear something whisper through the air behind you, and the same dagger punctures your shoulder again, thrown from the doorway. You take 7 piercing damage and 17 necrotic damage, bringing you down to 31 points of health. The Rakshasa appears in the doorway and begins bounding after Bones, breathing heavily.
Bloodied but unbowed, Bones reaches into a reserve of energy within him and gains 12 temporary hit points. Bones pulls the knife from his chest and holds on to it, attempting to not let it back into the Rakshasa's hands.
Make a perception check.
8. Try getting this back now! Bones sprints as hard as he can across the sagebrush towards the big half-collapsed barn that Lucille has crashed into.
And suddenly, appearing next to you is the Rakshasa, flying above the grass, heading you off on your way to the barn.
Your heart is tainted. How have you done this to me? Answer me!
Just take your licks and get the hell out of here! Bones continues through to the barn.
The Rakshasa makes a desperate opportunity attack as Bones passes, and again misses as Bones slides underneath, swiping claws.
Bones throws his entire body weight into the barn doors, exploding them off the hinges, revealing a Ford Model T with a matching red and gold color scheme to Lucille. He hops over the door into the car.
Bones, make an investigation check for the keys.
11.
Bones grabs the keys.
Come on, come on. Bones attempts to turn the engine over.
The engine instantly roars to life.
He floors it.
The Rakshasa appears in the doorway.
Stop!
The car runs over the Rakshasa, who peels himself out of the dirt.
Stop!
Make a wisdom saving throw, Bones.
12.
And you slam on the brakes against your will. As the car stops, the Rakshasa cracks his neck, flies over to Bones, opens the door, and low under his breath says,
Get out of the automobile.
Bones smacks his own face, shaking off the charm. Ah! He floors it again, slamming the door in the Rakshasa's face.
What? Ah!
Bones, as you floor it, make a Constitution save. This is the bumpiest ride of your life.
23.
You hold it together, so does this Ford Model T, and you get back onto the dirt road, which allows you the vehicle's full speed. The Rakshasa flies behind you, lagging behind.
I will pursue you endlessly, human. Stop.
But his voice is lost underneath the car's engine.
Bones leans out of the driver's side window and back towards the Rakshasa, pointing to his head with one hand. What's that? I can't hear you!
Bones, the Rakshasa begins to fall very far behind you. Still flying in the distance, you hear one demonic roar that creates a shockwave that forces you into the wheel of the car. Make a wisdom saving throw.
4.
Bones, you feel your foot lift off of the pedal of the car. You feel your will entirely dominated. You see through yellow feline eyes out the car door. In your mind, you hear its voice.
This could have been an amicable conversation, but now I have more questions than I came with.
The Rakshasa gets up next to you, gently peeling the black dagger from your hand as you catatonically stare back. It shows you the dagger.
Your friend did not wish to part with this, though she made sure I remembered the encounter.
It points to its eye, which appears gray and useless, a jagged scar stretching from forehead to cheekbone.
Tell me where your other friend is, who could create fire.
I don't know.
Very well then. You are of no use to me, save to enjoy myself.
The dagger is sheathed, and the Rakshasa makes 2 attacks at advantage with its now protracted claws. You take 22 points of slashing damage as blood sprays across the dashboard of the Model T, bringing you down to 21 points of health.
Using his entire willpower, Bones slams his own face into the wheel of his car, shaking off the charm, and he floors it again.
Dust kicks up, the car shoots forward on the dirt road, able to reach its full speed.
What?
Bones desperately searches the floorboard with one hand, looking for anything he could use as a weapon while driving.
Roll a perception check.
13.
There are only a couple of mice in the back seat, cowering in the corner.
Don't worry, fellas. I'm getting us out of here.
Bones' feet don't leave the pedals of the Model T Ford. After a couple 100 miles on dirt roads, the car finally sputters out of gas. But the Rakshasa is nowhere in sight. You are unsure if it is still pursuing you, but sticking to the roads means that you have followed a very easily traceable path.
Bones gets out of the truck, collects the mice from the back seat, and sets them free on the ground. Run, fellas! Scram fast! And then tips the entire truck over the ledge of the road and off the cliff into the gorge below. He leaves the road himself, walking up mountain towards where he knows the railroad tracks are.
Bones, roll a survival check.
7.
You finally find a nearly abandoned train station. There is no attendant, it is more of a fueling depot, and there is a train in the process of doing just that.
Bones, having done this countless times in his life, sneaks onto one of the boxcars and closes the door.
Roll a stealth check.
8.
Suddenly, the door opens again, and the train's driver confronts you.
Hey, what are you doing, friend? You're a big fella. Oh, listen, don't hurt me now. I'm just trying to get trained from point A to point B. But we ain't taking passengers. You gotta get off.
Shh, shut up.
What?
Shut up. You're gonna take me wherever you're going, and you're gonna keep mum, or else we're both gonna end up like Ollie Bunkus.
Roll an intimidation check.
Botch.
Get the fuck off of my train, you dumb Sasquatch.
Oh well. Bones grabs him, pulls him into the boxcar, and attempts to knock him out. Bones exits the car wearing the conductor hat and the tiny conductor's jacket over his large frame and heads up to the front of the train. All right, all aboard, here we go! And Bones kicks the train into gear.
The train begins to chug through the night. Bones, as you sit in the driver's seat, letting the wind calm you, you look down at your bloody hands. The candlelight in the conductor's cabin has caused something to refract. From underneath your skin, you see tiny, reflective splinters. Roll a history or arcana check.
11.
You feel the sharp pain in your knuckles, and you remember the blood that sprung forth from your knuckles before, when you shattered the magical mirrors in that forgotten city only a few years ago.
Well, at least I got something out of the deal. Bones looks down at the dagger wounds on its chest, made by Jade's dagger, and leans out the side of the train, gauging which direction he's headed. I hope that thing killed you when it met you, Jade. 'Cause if it didn't, I'm sure as hell gonna.
This has been a Hero Club production, produced by Nick Williams, George Primavera, and Jack Quaid, with associate producers Marty Abbe-Schneider and Dylan McCollum. Voice acting by George Primavera, Nick Williams, Marty Abbe-Schneider, Dylan McCollum, Lelia Symington, and Jack Murphy. Overture composed and produced by Matthew McCollum. Subscribe to our Patreon to support us for the cost of just a coffee a month and get access to our weekly interview show, Members Only. Plus, follow us on Instagram at Hero Club Podcast, on X at Hero Club Pod, on Twitch at twitch.tv/hero_club, and check out our website, heroclubpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and welcome to the club.
Let's hope this choo-choo goes to London town. We're gotta find Jade.
You psycho. Let's hope this choo-choo goes to London.